What if I told you that happiness isn't just a feeling but an actual science with formulas, equations, and measurable outcomes that you can master starting today? In the next 11 minutes, I'm going to reveal the hidden mechanisms behind human joy that researchers have spent decades uncovering, and more importantly, show you exactly how to activate these systems in your own life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some people seem naturally happier than others, and possess a toolkit of scientifically proven strategies that can literally rewire your brain for greater satisfaction and contentment. The pursuit of happiness has puzzled humanity for millennia, but only recently have we begun to understand the actual biological and psychological processes that create lasting joy. What we've discovered challenges everything most people believe about what makes us happy. The conventional wisdom suggests that external circumstances determine our emotional state, but science reveals a dramatically different story. Your happiness levels are far more within your control than you ever imagined, and the mechanisms behind this control are both fascinating and remarkably practical. But first, subscribe to our channel. Let's start with the most counterintuitive finding in happiness research. Scientists have discovered that roughly 50% of your happiness is determined by genetics, 10% by life circumstances, and a surprising 40% by intentional activities and mental habits. This means that whether you're rich or poor, married or single, living in a mansion or a modest apartment, these external factors contribute surprisingly little to your overall life satisfaction. The real power lies in that 40% zone where you have complete control. This discovery emerged from groundbreaking twin studies conducted over several decades. Researchers tracked identical twins separated at birth and found that despite vastly different life experiences, their happiness levels remained remarkably similar throughout their lives. This suggested a genetic baseline that each person carries. However, the most exciting part wasn't the genetic component, but rather the massive influence of daily practices and thought patterns on overall well-being. The brain science behind happiness reveals why this 40% is so powerful. Neuroplasticity research shows that our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. Every time you engage in specific happiness-boosting activities, you're literally strengthening neural pathways associated with positive emotions while weakening those connected to negative feelings. This process happens automatically, but you can dramatically accelerate it through intentional practice. One of the most potent happiness mechanisms involves something researchers call the gratitude circuit. When you actively acknowledge things you're thankful for, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin while simultaneously reducing cortisol production. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. The timing and specificity of gratitude practice matters enormously. Generic thankfulness has minimal impact, while detailed appreciation for specific experiences creates lasting neurochemical changes. The optimal gratitude practice involves identifying 3 specific things daily that went well and analyzing why they happened. This process engages your prefrontal cortex in positive pattern recognition, training your brain to notice good things automatically. Most people practice gratitude incorrectly by simply listing obvious blessings like health and family. Instead, focus on small recent experiences and explore the causal factors that made them possible. Social connection represents another fundamental pillar of the happiness code. Harvard's Grant study, which followed subjects for over 80 years, identified relationship quality as the strongest predictor of life satisfaction. But the mechanics of this connection are more nuanced than simple social interaction. The key lies in what psychologists call authentic relating, which involves vulnerability, empathy, and genuine interest in others' experiences. The paradox of social happiness is that trying to get emotional support from others is less effective than providing support to them. When you actively contribute to someone else's well-being, your brain activates reward circuits associated with meaning and purpose. This creates a positive feedback loop where helping others makes you happier, which motivates more helping behavior, generating even greater satisfaction. Purpose and meaning constitute the third pillar of sustainable happiness. Research consistently shows that people who feel their lives have significance report higher well-being regardless of their circumstances. However, purpose doesn't require grand gestures or world-changing missions. The most effective approach involves connecting your daily activities to values that matter to you personally. Scientists have identified what they call the meaning-making mechanism. where your brain continuously seeks patterns and significance in your experiences. You can leverage this natural tendency by regularly reflecting on how your actions align with your deeper values. This practice strengthens the neural networks associated with intrinsic motivation, making you more resilient to external setbacks and more satisfied with your daily experiences. Physical activity plays a crucial role in the happiness equation through multiple pathways. Exercise triggers endorphin release, but the mood benefits extend far beyond these natural opioids. Regular movement improves brain-derived neurotrophic factor production, which enhances neuroplasticity and cognitive function. It also regulates sleep patterns, reduces inflammation, and provides a sense of accomplishment that feeds into overall life satisfaction. The most effective exercise for happiness isn't necessarily the most intense. Research suggests that moderate, consistent activity produces better mood benefits than sporadic, high-intensity workouts. The key is finding movement you genuinely enjoy rather than forcing yourself through unpleasant routines. Your brain associates positive emotions with activities that feel rewarding, creating sustainable habits that compound over time. Mindfulness and present moment awareness represent perhaps the most powerful happiness tools available. When your attention focuses on current experience rather than past regrets or future worries, your brain activates networks associated with contentment and peace. This isn't mystical or abstract, but represents measurable changes in brain activity that you can cultivate through practice. The science of attention reveals why mindfulness is so effective. Your brain processes approximately 11 million bits of information per second, but can only consciously attend to about 40 bits. Where you direct this limited conscious attention dramatically influences your emotional state. Most people unconsciously focus on problems, threats, and deficiencies, creating unnecessary mental suffering. Mindfulness training literally rewires your brain to notice positive aspects of present experience. After just 8 weeks of regular meditation practice, brain scans show increased gray matter in regions associated with emotional regulation and decreased activity in the amygdala, which processes fear and stress responses. These changes persist even when you're not actively meditating, suggesting permanent improvements in emotional baseline. Sleep quality profoundly impacts happiness through multiple biological pathways. During sleep, your brain consolidates positive memories while processing negative emotions, essentially editing your experiences to emphasize the good while diminishing the bad. Poor sleep disrupts this natural emotional regulation, leaving you more vulnerable to negative thinking patterns and less able to experience joy. The happiness-sleep connection works both ways. While adequate sleep improves mood, positive emotions also enhance sleep quality by reducing the stress hormones that interfere with rest. This creates either a virtuous cycle where good sleep leads to better mood leads to better sleep, or a vicious cycle where poor sleep creates negative emotions that further disrupt rest. Optimizing your sleep for happiness involves more than just duration. Sleep timing, consistency, and environmental factors all influence the emotional benefits of rest. Going to bed and waking at consistent times synchronizes your circadian rhythms with natural happiness chemicals, while creating a calm sleep environment reduces stress hormones that interfere with both rest and mood. The role of novelty and growth in happiness reveals why many people experience satisfaction plateaus. Your brain adapts quickly to positive changes, a phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. What initially brings joy becomes routine, requiring constant escalation to maintain the same level of satisfaction. However, you can combat this adaptation by regularly introducing small changes and challenges into your routine. Learning and skill development activate reward circuits in ways that resist adaptation. When you're acquiring new abilities or knowledge, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of mastery, creating sustainable motivation and satisfaction. The key is choosing challenges that stretch your abilities without overwhelming them, maintaining what psychologists call the flow state where engagement and enjoyment merge. Financial factors in happiness follow predictable patterns that most people misunderstand. Beyond meeting basic needs, additional income provides diminishing returns in terms of life satisfaction. However, how you spend money matters enormously. Research shows that spending on experiences rather than material goods, investing in time-saving services, and giving to others all produce disproportionate happiness returns. The psychology of financial happiness involves more than spending patterns. Your relationship with money itself influences well-being. People who view wealth as a tool for security and contribution report higher satisfaction than those who see it as a scorecard or identity marker. This perspective shapes daily decisions and long-term planning in ways that either support or undermine overall happiness. Implementation represents the final crucial element in the happiness code. Knowledge without application provides no benefits, and the science of behavior change reveals specific strategies for turning insights into habits. The most effective approach involves starting with tiny changes that feel almost trivially easy, then gradually expanding successful practices over time. Your happiness journey doesn't require dramatic lifestyle overhauls or perfect execution. Small, consistent applications of these scientific principles create compound effects that generate significant improvements over months and years. The key is choosing one or two strategies that resonate with you personally and committing to regular practice rather than trying to implement everything simultaneously. The secret science of happiness ultimately reveals that joy isn't a mysterious emotion that happens to you, but a learnable skill set that you can develop through understanding and practice. These tools aren't temporary fixes, but permanent upgrades to your emotional operating system. Start with the strategies that feel most accessible. Trust the process, and watch as the science transforms your daily experience into something richer and more satisfying than you thought possible. If you got value from this video, like and subscribe to our channel.